Hey everybody on YouTube, Eclipse Galaxy here. After many requests in person from friends on Facebook and here on YouTube, I've decided to update my makeup tutorial. It's definitely needed. As you can tell, my makeup has changed drastically over the last several years. A lot of that is due to the queens that I've met here in Toledo. They're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for all the tips and tricks that you've taught me. It's also a great part due to all the people here on YouTube. I wanted to make sure to give some special shout outs to Misty Eyes, Misty Valley Paramount, Emmanuel Castelli, Boy with Brushes, Beat Face Honey, Blanche Babcock. The list goes on and on and on. It's because of all your hard work here on YouTube and your constant filming and updating that you help people like me to paint like this, where I've had no formal training. Most of what I've done is actually from your tutorials. So once again, thank you for everything that you do. It definitely makes a difference. The camera that I had planned on using to film this tutorial is unfortunately broken. So once again, it's going to be a picture tutorial, and hopefully this time I'm really going to try hard to do a voiceover so that I can tell you guys the products that I'm using, how I'm blending, all that other kind of fun stuff. I will also put links down below to the different tutorials that I used to help me do this. So, if you like this look and you want to see how I did it, please keep watching. If you also like the video, please feel free to like and subscribe below. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, feel free to either private message me here or friend me on Facebook, and you can ask me there. So, without further ado, here's a tutorial.
Alright guys, let's get started. First, you're going to want to start with a shaved face and make sure it's completely clean and moisturized so that the makeup has something to stick to when you put it to your face. If you've got big bushy man brows like I do, you're also going to want to tweeze or just trim them down a little bit so that when you go over top of them with the glue, they'll lay a little bit flatter against your face. Next, taking some rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip or a cotton ball, go over your eyebrows to remove any extra oil that might still be in the hair. Now that our face is completely ready to start, we're going to glue our eyebrows down. There's several different ways that you can do this. I've heard of some people using spirit gum, scar wax, nose putty, and even Prozaid, which I've yet to try, but I'm hopefully going to try here soon. I prefer to use the Elmer school glue method in Disappearing Purple. The purple just helps to see where the placement of the glue is to make sure that you don't have any extra glue all over your face and you can place it a little bit more precisely. Make sure to let the first layer of glue dry completely on your face before you do any extra layers on top of it. That way, when you go over it with powder, it's not going to shift the glue on the first layer underneath. After the first layer is dried, I go over the eyebrow with the direction of the growth of the hair a second time, allowing the glue only to dry about halfway until the glue's a little bit tacky to the touch. Once it's dried that much, I take my setting powder. I use Coty Airspun and Honey Beige, and I press that into the eyebrow. And that'll accomplish two things. First, it'll absorb the extra moisture, and secondly, it'll press the eyebrows even flatter against the face. After you press the powder into the eyebrow, allow it to sit for a couple extra minutes just to make sure that it's completely dry before you brush off the extra powder. I normally repeat this process one more time so that there's 3 layers of glue on my eyebrow just to make sure it's laying completely flat. And after the 3rd layer of glue is completely dried, I'm ready to start my foundation. For foundation, I prefer to use a full coverage pan stick foundation by Mehron in the color Light Tan. I make sure to go over my entire face and down my neckline. I'm trying to cover as much of my face as I can before I go ahead and blend it in. Then taking a makeup sponge that I also got at my local supply store, I blend the foundation into my skin in a pouncing or a stippling motion to make sure that I avoid having streaks on my face. Now, taking a concealer brush and my Cream Highlight by Ben Nye in the color Ultralight, I go underneath my eyes and I carve out where I would like my highlights of my cheekbones to be. Because I have a wide face, I bring the highlight up, so it creates the illusion of having a longer face. If you have a narrow face, you're going to want to do the exact opposite. Don't bring the highlight up, bring it out so that your face appears wider. Using the same highlight, I highlight the middle of my forehead, down the center of my nose to create a slimmer looking nose, and just on the top of my chin, all the areas where natural light would normally hit a face. Now, taking a second concealer brush and my contouring cream color by Ben Nye in the color Coco Brown, I contour the top of my forehead to create the illusion of a smaller forehead. I also contour right underneath where I placed my highlight for my cheekbones. And I also contour along my jawline, because I have a very square jaw, to make it rounder, and along the sides of my nose to make it look slimmer. Then, taking my makeup sponge, I blend my highlights and my contours, making sure that there aren't any harsh lines on the face. Now it's time to set the cream foundation with our powders. I normally set my highlights with my highlight powder just to intensify the effect. So taking a chisel brush that I actually picked up over at Home Depot, they usually use it for detail work for painting in houses. I find that this kind of brush is a lot more precise when I'm trying to get into small areas like the corners of my eyes. I use super white at the area closest to my eye and up the top of the cheekbone highlight on both sides. Also, in the middle of my forehead, where the brightest highlight would be, down the center of my nose, where that highlight is, and also on my chin. Then, taking a second highlight powder, which I actually mixed myself. It is 1 part of my Coty setting powder, 1 part of the super white, and 1 part of Ben Nye Pretty Pink. I go around the highlight that I just created on my forehead, and I also bring down the highlight on my cheeks. Once I've covered the highlighted areas, I go over the rest of my face with my Honey Beige Coty setting powder, and I set the rest of my makeup. After all my makeup's set, I use a fluffy brush and dust off all the extra powder that is left on my face after I set my makeup. And then it's time to highlight and contour with powders and shadows. First, I highlight my face using super white in the exact same areas that I did before, just to give a more intense effect. And then I take my mixed highlight powder, the Coty powder, Pretty Pink, and super white, and I place them in the exact same areas that I had before. Now, taking a fan brush and my contour color, which is Ben Nye in Rasin, I go in the exact same areas that I had placed my cream contour. So along the forehead, down the sides of the nose, underneath my cheekbone highlight, and down my jaw. And I also make sure to add a little contour underneath my bottom lip, so that when I go to draw my lips in later, it'll appear as if my bottom lip is a little bit more full. Then taking the chisel brush again and some super white, I go underneath my cheekbone contour. And that harsh contrast really makes my cheekbones pop, and you'll see why when I brush it off later. Alright, and that's it for contour and highlight. After I get all of that on my face, I usually let it sit for about 10 minutes and let it soak into the makeup. That way when I go to brush it off, the colors don't fade as much. And after I've let it set for those 10 minutes, I take a fluffy brush for the highlight and a fluffy brush for the contour, and I blend the forehead, leaving the rest of the highlights later, especially underneath the eyes for when we do our eye makeup. If there's any fallout, we can easily just brush it off of our face. Next, taking a small pencil brush and our contour color, I bring the line from my nose up and over my eye, creating an eyebrow. That's the easiest way to draw on your eyebrows. That way, if you mess it up, you can easily just blend it out and do it again. I also take the same small pencil brush and carve in where I want my new crease to be for my cut crease for my eye makeup. Taking a small paddle brush and my dark brown color, I believe it's Ben Nye Cocoa Tan, I deepen the crease a little bit, just on the outside corner about 2/3 of the way in. and then I blend both of those colors together using the same pencil brush that we used originally and a little bit of the contour color just to diffuse the colors a little bit. Taking our concealer brush and our ultralight cream highlight, I go in and I place the cream where I want my new eyelid to be. After I've done this to both sides, I take some super white and I press that in, and that's going to add a really bright effect in the eyes. Next, taking another small paddle brush and black by Ben Nye, I carve my crease out just a little bit darker on about the outside 1/3, almost to 1/2 of the crease, making sure to blend it out. And now it's time to line the eyes. I use a small angled brush and some cream eyeliner by e.l.f. to line my upper lid. I make sure to overline my lid because I've got a hooded lid. So how I do that is I look directly forward in the mirror and I bring the line up slightly above where my normal crease is. I'll make sure to show it in a picture here. It's a very drastic eyeliner. After I've done that to both sides, making sure they're about the same shape, I take the liner and I wing out the corner. And leaving that highlight powder on, it's very easy to see exactly where that wing is going to swoop up. After I've lined that outside corner, I make sure to line my lash line. And then taking that same brush, I fill in the entire shape. Taking our black brush again and our black eyeshadow, I set the liner with some black shadow just to intensify the color and make sure that the cream doesn't shift or smear as I do the rest of my eye makeup. I then take my small angled brush again and a little bit of the cream eyeliner and I deepen that crease just along the edge, barely even adding much of a line at all, to intensify that darkness and just bring the crease in just a little bit deeper. Then taking a small brush and a little bit of the black eyeshadow, I blend that out.